And I was just thinking a little while ago that how much I appreciate all you guys for popping in every week. We've been doing this call for probably over 6 months now, and I I feel fortunate to have you guys, here every week, week in and week out, and all your contributions. Last week we had a great conversation between Jeffrey and Chris. I think that was super, super helpful to a lot of us. I know I've learned a ton since you guys all started joining. So just to thank you for that. And also for any of you guys who have subscribed to the Old Guy REI channel. I appreciate that a lot. Um, and last week we talked a little bit about trying to bring more value to the group and to this call. So over the past few weeks, I've been reaching out to different people, different I don't know what you call them, different people in our circle that have helped us with our deals and things. So we I spoke with one of Dana's associates from Hemlane today, and they're going to jump on with us on the 14th, which is not next week, but the week after. They'll come on, probably do a 15 or 20 minute um, kind of explanation of what Hemlane is and how it can help us landlords, and then there'll be time for questions. So just want to put that out there and let you guys think about questions. And then this next Wednesday, which will be the 7th, he's already been on with us for a little bit, but the lender that's helped us on our most recent deals, Brian Bilstein from Neighborhood Loans, will be on with us next week. And again, if you guys have any lending questions for him, that would be awesome. I also spoke with one of our personal property managers, and he's agreed to come on with us, and so he'll probably be on in about 3 weeks. So I hope that is going to be helpful. I think it was really nice of them to consider coming on with us. I know Dana from Hemlane will probably be on with us. I know she's in Africa or something right now, but she'll be back in August. So her part of her team, Alexandria is her first name, and she's agreed to come on with us before Dana gets back. So that should be pretty cool. And then was just thinking also when back to that thought about you guys being here every week. I know you guys put in some time too. Harrison, I see you all over the place with Mark, and Michelle's always out there. A lot of us are spending time, like a few of us were just on with Dion a little while ago on his members only. And everybody's putting in so much time. I spoke with someone today that was a little discouraged because of some things that were going on with her property, having to do an eviction and having to put money into her property to get it ready, rent ready again. And I was letting her know that, you know, that we're here, and like I was just saying, all of you guys are crazy about real estate and have been through a lot of different things. So I told her, it would be helpful for her just to pop in and let us know what she's going through. I'm sure some of us, I know I have gone through similar things as she has. And, just talking it through might be helpful. She was saying that she's lost a little bit of, I don't know, I guess the drive to continue with real estate. And I'm sure we all hate to see that happen. Um, and of course, real estate isn't for everyone, but I'm sure it will help her in the future.
You should
So,
have her come on, yeah, because I mean we've all got stories, and it's those people that push through and get to the other side that make it. Is from what I heard. I'm new, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I've been up and down like a yo-yo, man. So
oh yeah, no, and I mean, you're fairly new, we're fairly new. A lot of us are fairly new, and that's why, we started the channel, we started this group. call. Because I know Cynthia and I needed a lot of help when we first started out, because the first time we tried it, there was nobody around for us. And obviously that's why we lost everything we had at that time. So just having you all here, and I think what I've explained to a lot of people is, just because Cynthia and I are new, with all you guys joining in and the wide range of experience that you guys have, it's going to be helpful, not just from the beginning, but the middle and going towards the end and everything like that. So um, I really, I really enjoy this. And I and I can see, because you guys are here every week, that you enjoy it just as much as I do. So that's awesome.
We're just as crazy as you, Frank.
Grateful you took this on too. Thank you. I know.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm glad to have the opportunity. Last year I was telling this person I was talking to earlier, last year I didn't even know how to do a Zoom. I didn't know how to do a lot of this stuff that we're doing now, start a channel and figure that stuff out, and thumbnails and all that crazy stuff. I mean, I still got to reach out to Mark. He does some pretty crazy stuff with his thumbnails.
Yeah, you did. You got to
But,
teach Zuber how to schedule a meeting for a Zoom.
Yeah, I know. Dion had mentioned he had done some tutorials with Zuber, and I think even the Lumberjack on tying Zoom and YouTube together to go live and things like that. It's been an awesome experience. But one quick thing, and we'll probably go around the room again to make sure you guys, if you have any specific questions this week, that we get to those. But I heard a few things out there in the forums about people waiting until after the election to decide if what they're gonna do. And I know for us, like Dion says, whoever ends up in office, that's what you have to work with. So just keep moving forward. But what do you think? We'll start with Jared.
I don't understand. I agree with Zuber's video he did today. It makes no difference to me whatsoever. I mean, I'm trying to. I don't agree with some of the people saying that, oh, things are going to drop out. But right now, man. So I don't know if you guys watched the Zuber thing, but that last property I picked up was unbelievable. They had it listed. Well, it was 585, and over the course of a couple months, we picked it up for 465. And it needed an AC unit. But other than that, I mean, the guy spent $120 on the reno. So I walked into, a bunch of equity, and I've got a functioning property right out of the gate. I mean, it did cost me $7,000 for the AC, but other than that, I mean, this is in Arizona, double pane nitrogen filled windows. I mean, and I knew that the difference was I knew the contractor. I've never been able to afford him. Spencer K1, K10, I think it is, in Arizona. He's really expensive, but he's really good. And so that helped me make that decision. And I was talking to, but picked that up. But my point in saying all this is, right now, I agree with Zuberman. Like, if you find someone that's in trouble, or sorry, I hate to say it that way, because it is taking advantage, but if you're helping them out. But I think right now is freaking primo time, so I'm desperately trying. I reached out to Henry Washington, and I may fund one of his deals just because I want to get the money moving. But I'm trying to find deals right now. I was on the phone with a professional baseball player guy, and he wants to set up. He saw my content, and he wants to set up. He's got a house with 3 other players in it, and he wants to set up a niche real estate thing for baseball players. And I was like, dude, that sounds awesome. So, who knows? Maybe I'll get into some other weird, because I have a weird problem. I have money I want to put into play, but my buy box and my whole strategy is just blown up, because not in a good way, in a bad way, because PadSplit, the company I was using, has changed their fee structure. So, and I don't like it. So now I'm trying to figure out other avenues. So I don't know. I think you should, if you've got the money and the time and the energy, man, right now is golden. I mean, that's $120K off, and that's freaking ridiculous. So I think now is the time to go.
Yeah, exactly. How about you, Harrison?
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's Jared, by the way, it sounds like Ground's first startup for you right there. So PadSplit. But yeah, I guess for me, that's the same thing, is that the markets that I'm looking at, everyone's frozen. I mean, they are just waiting. There's a lot of people that are dropping prices down, and I've been talking to my realtors. I'm trying to meet new ones now because they're all frozen as well because because the NAR agreements are kicking in next month. So they're saying, well, how about we wait and then we can create an agreement? It's like, no, 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 no. We're going. And that's my thing right now. So I might be firing one of my realtors because I think this is the perfect time to go because everyone is in analysis paralysis right now.
Yep, that's great. I think it's probably going to be pretty much the same all the way around the room. But hi Santiago, how are you?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, so we were just wondering if it matters who gets into office in the next election, and if that's a lot of people are just waiting until it happens to decide what they're going to do in the future. Do you
Right.
have thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I don't think it matters in the short term. Um, maybe not even in the long term, right? So the they may campaign on certain things, right? They may benefit landlords or maybe they won't. But there's no assurance that those things will pass, right? It has to go to different levels in the Congress and the president has to sign it off. So it can't really go by a lot of the campaign promises or whatnot. And at the end of the day, what the other guy said is what you guys said is definitely true, right? If you have a good deal, why not take it? And by the way, you have to understand what a good deal is to begin with, right? So if you know a good deal when you see it, then you might as well take it, right? Because if you have a good deal, then what does that generally mean to me? It means that we could have a down market and I still won't be underwater, for example, right? We could have rents drop, which is very unusual, but I'd still be able to cash flow on that property, right? So if you take those things into consideration, it really doesn't matter um, whether you wait or not. I would definitely suggest going for it now if you have a good deal. I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
most things, have a good deal, you go for it.
Keep looking for the deals. Yeah. I'm going to jump to Sam real quick because Sam, we need to congratulate you again on your new family member. How's everything going with the new one?
Yeah, hey everyone. Yeah, it's doing good. It's doing
Yeah.
good. Finally, I am back. I am back. Yeah, it's been 2 busy weeks, and it was a great. He's healthy. His mom is healthy, so that's a blessing there. And then we had our in-laws in town, so they left a couple days ago. So now I guess back to it. But yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we're blessed. We're blessed to have him. Yeah, it's fun time, fun time.
Yeah, of course. We're super happy for you. And what
Appreciate
about
it.
what about that presidential question? Are you sitting on the sidelines until after the election? Or are you still moving forward?
Like you just said, I'm the same, and it's to me, it's more depends on your personal situation more than the president. So if you're ready, and you see a deal, yes. If you see a deal and you're not ready, then postpone it. It doesn't matter who is the president. If you're ready and you see a deal, then that's the time. It's more like the personal circumstances and everything is lined up and you know to, to pull the trigger. I think like you just said, there's a lot of people just waiting on the sideline now. So hey, perfect time for us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. We Cynthia and I, a few people were talking about all the things that you could ask for these days, and the seller's probably gonna agree to a lot of them. On this we closed on a property yesterday, and they there was a lot of
Congratulations.
thank you. There was a lot of repairs that came back on the inspection report, and the seller fixed everything, even down to the sewer. So the sewer scope came back with some issues, and I think that repair was $6,000, and they fixed it. So we closed on it. So I think some of those other options, and they also paid 2 points towards closing. So that's one of the better ones so far that we've been able to close on.
What market was that, Frank?
That's again, it's in St. Louis. It was
Oh.
an off-market property that our agent brought to us. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. We paid 75 for it. It appraised for 80, which was unusual for us. We haven't ever had anything appraised for more than we bought it for, but that was a pleasant surprise. And,
Congratulations, Frank.
yeah,
and
thanks.
and like I'm looking at this and say, you know, and maybe basically like you ask for maybe 2 points or 3 points from the seller. Maybe ask for the other thing. Maybe is adding is to ask for the maybe the closing costs as well. So if you can get any of those, and I'm thinking about it, like even if I pay more, I offer them more, and they pay for that. I mean, that's cash out of my pocket right away versus if I add 10,000 to the loan and then maybe in the future refinance, maybe that will make a big difference at this time because they will feel they got a price and they're contributing to help you. So kind of it feels like a win-win deal. And to me, it's not a cash out of pocket at this point.
Yeah, that's a great point. Hi, Cody. I know you just did some deals and stuff, but what do you think about waiting until the new president is in office to keep moving forward?
Yeah, I would say it shouldn't really matter. I don't think it matters either way in the long run because you're not, I don't think there's anything that major that will happen, and that there's enough other things going on. So I've never been concerned about who's in office, or I know a lot of people make a big deal out of it, but in the long run, it doesn't really affect my day-to-day life, and I'm going to invest like that. So, and yeah, I just bought those 4 duplexes. So yeah, it's not stopping me. I think what's stopping me right now is I'm just ready for a little break before I get back into buying something else. So I'm gonna take a little break right now, just personally, right? But
Yeah,
if I was ready, I would definitely keep buying.
yeah, that's a good point. We were, Cynthia and I were talking about after this last property to chill for a little bit and kind of try to get stabilized because we do have 2 units in our triplex that we're having a little bit of trouble filling. It's taking longer than we had hoped. And then with the new one we just closed on, we need to put a tenant there. And then one of our other tenants is leaving. So we'll have like 4 vacant units. And so we were with that mindset, let's take a little break and see how things go. But then our agent just dropped another one in our lap. So here we go again.
If you don't
Hey,
want to buy it, Frank, I'll look at it. I'm
Hey,
ready.
Frank. Frank,
Yeah. Yes.
what does your portfolio look like?
To date, we have, so the one we just closed on would be door number 9. And we have the triplex that I just mentioned with 2 vacant units. It's in St. Joseph, Missouri. We have a duplex in Milwaukee. We have, we bought a turnkey following Millennial Mike to Gary with the turnkey provider that he started out with. So we have that one. We have a turnkey we bought in Illinois. We have one we got off the MLS, a single family in St. Louis, and this one that we just closed on is another single family in St. Louis. So total of 9 doors with 6 properties.
So 4 single family.
Yes.
Nice. So 4 single family, duplex and a triplex.
Yes.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
and
Love it.
Which one
Thank
do you
you,
like
yeah.
the best, Frank?
I'm liking the single families a lot.
Really?
The little one that I mentioned, the tenant is leaving this next month. That has been the best little property so far. She's Section 8. The rent came in on time every single month, and it was really nice because we ended up paying cash for that one. So, I mean, the cash flow from that one is quite good. The cash on cash return isn't, obviously, but we have 2 paid off properties. And so the cash flow from those 2 have helped us weather the other things we've gone through. And again, we just started buying in 21. So this summer is our 3rd year in again. So yeah, I'm liking single family. I really can see the benefit of small multi. So if we did end up closing on this other door, which would be number 10, then I would try to hang on and save up for a duplex or triplex or quad somewhere.
When you said you like single family, considering that the cash on cash is not as good, what do you like about the single family?
Well, a couple of the things.
I'm gonna interject really quick. There's only one way to know whether or not, and please, I caution everyone, do not make the assumption that single family equals cash on cash not as great as multifamily, because there are instances, and again, it is market dependent, but that's one of the things that Zuber always harps on all of us about in terms of run your numbers, because the whole point of cash on cash return is to know and be able to compare a single family with a duplex, with a triplex, stuff like that. So
yeah, the numbers are the
one
numbers.
precaution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides that, so Cynthia and I have always shot for at least 200 positive cash flow per door with a 10% cash on cash return. And we've been able to hit that everywhere except for that turnkey in Gary. That came in, and we knew it was going to be more like 8, but we wanted to kind of test that market a little bit. And so we bought that one. But everything else has been, over 200 a door with the 10% return. This one that we're looking at now is more like a 12% return. It's actually a 3-bedroom, 1-bath in the St. Louis area. And some of the other things I like is the difference between our triplex and having to pay for snow removal and part of the utilities and lawn care, things like that. On the single family, you kind of just set it and forget it, right? Well, don't forget it.
They act as an owner, basically.
Right. So that's really attractive right now. I mean, investing at a distance.
Yep.
That's been super, super helpful. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I get that. I definitely get that about the single families. Like with our single family properties, it's a different tenant relationship. The tenant, they're not the owner, but they act more like it.
Mm-hmm.
They take more responsibility. They take care of the yard. One of our properties, the guy pressure washed, the driveway, and I mean I can't imagine one of our multifamily tenants doing that kind of stuff. So it's definitely it seems to be a little bit of a different world from that perspective.
Yeah, and you were in Matt's course, right?
Yeah.
So even though these properties they're all C-class neighborhoods, but we've been talking about, like Matt talks about, replacing the switches and plugs to a Decora style, and maybe popping in a couple of outlets that have the USB connections in them. I'm going to try some of that stuff this time, since we have the new unit and we have the tenant leaving, because I think that could make a difference. People it might show them more that you care about the place versus, it's just a rent check. So I'm going to be chatting with our property manager to see about getting those things done. You could rent it with the cabinetry that's in the kitchen, but there has been a leak in the past under the sink, so that cabinet's a little worn. So we're going to replace, those 3 on the sink side, new sink, new faucet. And I think, with seeing some of the new stuff, probably a new toilet, maybe some LVP in the bathroom. With those little upgrades, I'm hoping that it might help the tenant have a little bit more respect for where they're living.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Let's see who next. Hey, Michelle, can you talk? Maybe she's not there. How about you, Josh? How are you doing tonight?
Are you there?
Yeah, we're here. We hear you.
I'm doing okay. I got my daughter. We're sitting here in the truck waiting to pick up some pizza to take home. So
Oh, okay. Well,
just hanging
well,
out here.
Stacy.
cool. Well, we'll try to get you in and out quick. We were just talking about whether you think you should wait until after the election to decide whether what you're gonna do, move forward, slow down, that kind of stuff.
Well, for me personally, I'm not doing anything, not because I have a sense of that you shouldn't. I'm just trying to get stabilized. We got one that's about to turn here at the end of this next month. We're actually going out of the country for a couple of weeks, and I'm about to have surgery on my arm. I got so many other things going on
Okay.
that I'm not diving hardcore into buying anything right now. We're just kind of stabilizing and building up our war chest, I guess. And but honestly, I think waiting because of that is kind of silly. You should really just be looking at when the opportunity strikes. That's when you should strike. So no matter what, who's going to be in office, because you really don't know what's going to happen as far as real estate goes. So yeah, I can't really say that I would wait because of that.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Let's see. How about you, Chester? What do you think about that question?
It's really just I guess a good way to look at it is be politically agnostic, figure out what matters to you, and how, regardless of whoever's in power, how your ideas line up, for lack of a better phrase, and then use that to your advantage. But largely on a day-to-day basis, a couple of people had already said it, it's really not going to matter all that much. Fear is mostly inside of your head, and again, going through the process right now myself, I can attest to this. Don't let that stop you. It's going to be there regardless of whether you do it or you don't. So there will always be excuses, but it's your choice as to whether or not you want to let that hold you back or not.
Yeah, I agree. And it reminds me about we've had discussions before about lenders and what kind of programs are out this week, but next week they change. And whatever the new rules are, like Dion says, there's a bunch of real estate owners in government, so they're going to keep the rules favorable to themselves. So I think that helps us a little bit as well. Well, a lot. But yeah, and then whatever new laws or anything, if they become like a hurdle, there's usually a way to get over it, in a short time after that new laws passed or whatever it might be. So that's helps us too to stay positive about the future.
And one other thing I'll add really quick.
Yeah.
For life in general, forget about simply looking at investing. I mean, life honestly is about adapting and adjusting to things, because nothing that, I don't know who may or may not have ever heard this phrase before. Basically, innovate, adapt, or die. As far as businesses, either you're basically a first mover, and then everybody else kind of follows along behind you, and then if there's anything left for the people at the tail end, that's usually how it goes. So I mean, the main thing is, no matter what, life is going to keep happening, and so those who stay alive the longest are usually the ones who adjust to their circumstances.
Right. Exactly. Let's see who. Hey, Michael Bolick, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. My apparently Spectrum had a internet outage though, so I had to use my phone, so no
Oh.
video today. So
Well, glad you could make it.
I think as far as waiting for who's in office, kind of mirror what everybody else has said. I don't think it really matters. A deal in the hand's worth two in the bush. I'm gonna kind of warp that phrase a little bit.
Mhm.
I personally, if it gets to October, November, might wait a little bit. Not because of the election, but because I decided to move back home with the folks and turn the place that I'm living in now into a rental, so I can kind of get get the ball rolling as far as that goes. Because I've had roommates while being the owner of the house, but I've never actually had like a tenant. And so I don't know if I want to, if I get a deal in October, I don't know if I want to be moving and then learning all that twice at the same time. And that just seems like it might be a lot. So if it gets to October, November, I might take a month or two break, but that'd be it.
Okay. And can you remind me where you live, and are your rentals in the same area?
Yes. So it's the Triad in North Carolina. So me specifically is Winston-Salem.
Okay.
And then I kind of got lucky in 2020 and I managed to get a place before all the prices blew up.
Uh-huh.
So the place that I'm living in right now, it's kind of been low key bugging me for the last couple of years because I knew it would make a really good rental, but I was living here.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of the folks were mom and dad were like, oh, if you ever want to move back so you can turn it into a rental. And then I thought about that and I was like, ego didn't like it, but the numbers made sense. And so I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, nice. That must have been a little hurdle to get over too, but it sounds like it's going to work out for the best this way, or work out better this way for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause my moving back home, it's like my living expenses are gonna like fall off a cliff. Cause it's like I won't have them anymore until I do something else. And then I might try to like house hack on the next deal or whatever. But
Okay. Great. Thank you. Let's see. Kevin, are you there?
Hey, Frank, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, in and around the house. Sorry, I was just walking the dog.
Okay.
Just went out for a walk. So, how's everyone
Okay.
doing today?
Everyone's good. We were just wondering, we were passing the question around if people should wait until after the election to keep moving forward on their investing goals.
Oh, I think all of us coming from as Zuber's children should understand that it's really more about the deal and is the opportunity to do so. That's what it seems like. So, it sort of lined up perfectly for me, at least, in that at this stage, we're, my wife and I, we're doing the research at this stage and trying to get our heads into the market so we can pounce on something when an opportunity does come up. But it just so happens that all these outside forces are sort of going on. It seems like it's lining up fairly well, where people are starting to see deals and getting concessions on things. So, I don't think whoever's in office is really going to make a big difference. I think Dion mentioned something in today's live that he was saying essentially that, and I think that this is true, that only if, all the branches of government turn one way or the other, that there's going to be like sweeping changes. Otherwise, you're sort of just going to be, fighting forces with each other where they may or may likely going to cancel out, which they have been, which is why everything in government moves so slowly.
Yeah.
So that's not, it partially is in our control in terms of voting, but not really,
Right.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, and you're right. I think we are all Zuber's children. I don't know if he wants us all, but I think he's stuck with us.
He's gonna abort me.
He's created us, so
Right. Hey, Robert, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, do you have any thoughts on the subject?
Um, how should I put this? If voting actually changed anything, it'd be illegal. um, but yeah, I mean, me, like, I really don't care right now. You know, if any reason I can't make a move, it's because of me and having to spend $20,000 on stuff. So it's like even if I wanted to move, I can't because, you know, the decisions I made in my life made me spend $20,000. Well, I didn't directly decide that. It was deciding to invest in real estate made it so now I have to spend $20,000 right now. So, and that's I don't think I don't ever think I paid that much in owed the government that much in taxes in a single year. So yeah, it really doesn't matter. And you know, even if I wanted to go out and buy a deal right now, which I kind of do, it's like, well, you know, everything we say is market dependent, and Zuber is absolutely 100% wrong about it's a buyer's market in my market. Last I checked, it's still a red hot seller's market with, you know, median home prices setting all time records, affordability hitting all time lows, and days on and was it what was that indicator? Oh yeah, percent of list price received is still 103, so everything's still going over asking. And yeah, I don't know. So you know, for me, it's like, yeah, I can't buy right now, and even if I wanted to buy, it's not like my market is cooling down, unlike other markets that other people might be seeing.
Yeah, that sounds like our market right here around us in California. Things are just, they're still flying off the shelf at over asking,
Hmm.
and it's been
Yeah,
pretty crazy.
yeah, we just as long as long as we keep getting mass in New York transplants up here in New Hampshire, it's just not going to stop ever, and it just keeps happening over and over and over again.
We're in New Hampshire, Robert. Out of curiosity, I'm from Nashua, so
Oh, you're from Nashua? No shit.
yeah,
I'm in
yeah.
Manchester, and I actually
Oh,
own a property in Nashua. No shit.
oh, sweet. That's awesome.
Holy crap! What did you know? We got we got to get together sometime.
I'm down in Virginia now, but yeah,
Oh,
I make my way up to Nashua frequently.
oh,
I got friends and family up there, so
oh.
yeah,
So
definitely though.
you don't live in Nashua right now.
Not anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh,
Harrison does that. He said he was from Oregon too, and I'm like, hey man, we
Yep.
should, you know,
I
I'm in
know.
Oregon, and he's like, oh, I'm not there anymore. I was like, oh,
Yeah, I know.
oh, crap.
I left like a few months right before Jared reached out. It's like, oh, yeah, I know we could have hung out because he's
Oh,
only minutes away from me. So I know
yeah.
Manchester's 35, if that. So
Just more like 30. It's yeah. Plus,
yeah,
plus Nashua is one of my markets. I don't invest exclusively in Manchester. The basically southern New Hampshire and then southwestern New Hampshire. So basically, I'd say like I basically say Nashua up to like Concord and like west
mhm,
towards Keene. I stay
yeah,
yeah, I stay out of the seacoast because I stay out of Matt's turf. I let him have his turf.
yeah, dude. If you could get Hollis, that would be a home run right there. So that's where I'm trying to buy
You
my
know what?
retirement.
You know what's so funny? Back in 2019, I had the opportunity to buy something on Silver Lake Road in Hollis, but you know,
Oh,
the
yeah,
numbers at that time didn't make sense and I turned
no,
it down. Plus it was a really distressed property. It was a duplex on right on
oh,
Silver Lake Road, right next. Like I could probably from where that duplex was, I could probably walk to Silver Lake from that state
oh,
park. And
that's a
yeah,
beautiful
20
spot too.
2019, I turned that down. So basically, well, I don't know about the rents, but if you want to talk about appreciation, it was selling for like, it needed some work. It was selling for like what, 450,000. That's probably easily in $1 million
Yeah,
duplex
easily.
right now from that
Yeah.
like yeah, a duplex in Hollis. Yeah, that's just
One
yeah.
comment on that
Yeah.
though, I wouldn't let just because someone's shopping in that market, let them stop you. I'll give you an example. I'm competing with Pace Morby.
Oh,
Right. I'm in Phoenix, right? And so
oh
Well,
he's
yeah,
got
that's
like
right.
40
Yeah.
VAs, and half the time he's bought some that
yeah.
I missed one by 20 minutes in Mesa. So I'm competing with that freaking guy.
Well,
But you know, I still picked up 3 in 8 months, so you can do it.
yeah. Well, no, it's there are other reasons, right, why I don't invest on the seacoast. Mainly now is because I want to house hack and I'm tied to my job in Lowell, Massachusetts. So I'm I can't really even invest in Keene anymore unless I want to do an investment loan, which is possible because Keene has cheaper properties. But for house hacking, I'm really stuck in like Nashua, Manchester, Concord because of my job now requiring me to be in the office. So that's more of why I don't go into the seacoast now. Plus, the seacoast is generally the most like the cash flow there. If you've been hearing about like what Matt's saying, like just standard MLS deals on the seacoast are like there is no cash flow there. It's the roughest part of it's the most expensive part of the state, and Matt's at this point only buying like obscure things like jails. Places where I invest still make somewhat sense. Keene makes more sense in terms of cash flow, but I really only went there for student rentals. But yeah, it, it's not just that Matt's there. It's other reasons why I stay out.
Cool, cool. Hey, Lynn, it's good to see you. Are you there? Maybe not. Mikey, can you talk? Or are you still working?
Yeah, I can talk. I'm a little under the weather.
Yeah, that cough got you, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you feel like talking, cool. If not, we can let you recuperate. We are just
Well,
wondering about if you think we should wait until after the election to keep moving towards our goals.
yeah, that's the one thing I've been thinking about is, because Anna Kelly, she had that market cycle presentation for
Mm,
the year. So that really interests me because I'm so new. I don't, I'm like experiencing these changes for the first time. So it's like I'm trying to take notes on it and trying to see, it's like you can't really replace the experience. So I'm trying to wrestle with that. But it is cool kind of seeing it, making notes of it, and saying, hey, how could I take advantage of it? So that's the way I kind of look at things.
that's a good way to look at it, for sure. Hi, Anna. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Do you have any thoughts about that? Are you waiting until after the new president's in office to decide whether you're going to keep moving forward or
No,
stop
not
first?
at all. Not at all. I'm just doing the things that I'm focused on. So no, I don't think I don't know. You never know, right? So I don't think I'm gonna really worry about if they're gonna do something, it's gonna move very slowly. So yep.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Thank you. Kyle, I think you're the only one I haven't hit yet. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. So just to kind of daisy chain off most of you guys, I mean, I don't know if it really matters. I feel like you can always kind of adapt no matter which political party's in. They all come out with their agendas and different ways. I think that's part of being an investor. I mean, always get get what you want, but you can always adapt to their policies and what they're kind of trying to push for. But to daisy chain off someone else, I forget who said it, being relatively younger and newer, I mean, I've only been doing this about 4 or 5 years, so I've kind of only seen the growth in my lifetime as an investor. So there's always in the back of my head, like I know I got to be cautious and keep an eye out because I haven't experienced a like devastating downturn, you know. So it's a combination of doing what Zuber says. If you can kind of do the work, make sure really get that deal in an uncertain time when other people aren't, you know, kind of more scared to do it. I think it brings you some opportunity, but at the same time, I mean, as a newer guy, I'd be lying to say if I didn't have a little fear in the background of some unknown, but I guess that just makes you do the work that much more.
Yeah, I think that's a good summarization of how everybody's feeling tonight. And you know, no matter, I guess, how far we are into our journeys, you mentioned the uncertainty, and a little bit of worry. And like for us today, you know, closing on that property, I think I mentioned before that we're having to hopefully nudge our property manager in the right direction to help us get the best rents we can for these units. And you know, you analyze a deal with a certain rent in mind, and then they tell you, you know, you can't probably get that. So it's time to fight, you know, for what we think we should be getting. So we'll be keeping you all updated on that for sure, because like Kyle, you and I spoke the other day about how everybody in this group has been so honest with their experiences, and that's what's been helping us all. And that's certainly what we want to do too. I mean, if it turns out that, you know, this property is a dog because we have to drop the rent by $200 more than we were expecting, you know, we're going to let you guys know that. And some people have gotten interested in the St. Louis market because we're there, you know, and we talk about following other people that are doing it in certain markets or wherever they are in the United States or wherever to follow someone that's doing it and being successful at it. And with that goes the opposite. You know, if something happens and the rents fall out or something strange like that, then everybody knows to stay away. So thank you for answering that question. Dude.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
Question on that, just with your, I guess what's going on with your property. So was it that you ran numbers with a specific rent that you had in mind? Was that back checked with the property manager, or did you not have a property manager at the stage, or how were you back checking that, I guess?
Yeah, so we've been getting comps with our agent. So we do have the one St. Louis property that had a Section 8 tenant that is paying $11.50. And so that was a 2-1. We just bought a 2-1 in the same area. And so that's what we're expecting at least to get $11.50. But when I ran that by our property manager, he came back and his average was $9.77, which is, and so I again bounced it off our agent, and she agreed that his number was way low. She was telling me today about another person, because the property she sent us a few hours ago is a 3-1, and the fair market rents for a 3-1 are close to $1,600 a month. And she had another client, someone that she's helped with their portfolio as well, and he went to Section 8, and Section 8 wasn't going to approve a tenant at that price. So he refused to take their tenant. And when he did that, then Section 8 came back and said, okay, we will give you the $1,600. So, you know, I guess they thought about it. They would rather have a place for their tenant, even if it was $100 more than they were willing to give at the time. So I hope we don't get into that situation, but we're ready to if need be, because I think his number being under $1,000 a month is just crazy. Even I think that's lower than 2023 prices. Now, a 2-1 is 1208 according to the FMR, and a 3-1 is 1565 on the FMR. So that's why I said we're going to do our best to keep them up as high as we can go, and then we'll let you all know the outcome.
One of the things that property managers try to do is to try usually to lower the rent so that the unit can be rented quickly, and so they make profit quickly, and to them probably they will get any tenant to move in sometimes if they are not the good ones, but usually they wanna rent it lower than the other landlords so that they can make profit faster. And
Yeah,
so
that's
it makes sense. It makes sense what you said. Your agent and you don't agree with that because usually you want the average, you want the good rate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just kind of made sense. I mean, we're already getting 1150. Why would you, put it up for rent for less than that? So, and we really, really like this property manager. He's fought for us in a lot of different other areas. That's why it was such a shock when he came back with that number. And when I went on myself and looked at other rentals in the area, they did vary. There was starting at 975 and they went all the way up to 1300. So I think we can end up someplace in the middle that will give us the yield that we were getting when we were analyzing the properties. Fingers crossed.
You brought up something that was a little bit interesting, right? You had mentioned that prices for 2023 rentals were higher. Was that what you were saying than what was currently or what they were comping?
Yeah. So the 2023 prices were right at about $1,000 for 2023, and 2024 is 1208. We were getting 1150, and when he did his CMA, he came back with that number of 977. So he's going in the wrong direction, I think.
I'm just curious, like, based on the economy and what's happening with the markets, from what I've heard, and I just started this, rents have been softening slightly in Atlanta, and there have been concessions. I don't know what everyone else's experiences have been. Be curious to know what's going on with everyone else's market to see if, people are getting rents at the same prices, or if they're raising them, or what's going on.
Yeah, I'm wondering that too. Is this like August? It's almost August, and then in the Midwest, in the South, the schools pretty much starting in the middle of August, right? Is this when the family homes, single family homes rents start? I don't know if the people already settled and then start going soft, or I'm just wondering because in my market, I'm in Florence, Alabama. There's a price war going to, like, people coming like $50 cut, $100 cut, right and left. So just wondering how's everybody's experiences around that area.
Yeah, I think, I've had that thought too, wondering about the rental market softening. Was it Zuber talking earlier this week about that he noticed that too? And I think he went back and asked Emlane to get the data on whether it was, a specific market or across the country. Because if it was across the country, he would be concerned. But I don't know if they have gotten him that data yet. I have heard some other people talking about that challenge as well, having to do things like, giving a half month off or like a move-in special, things like that?
Not really for me. I'm well. I had a I was supposed to sign a lease last Thursday, and then the tenant backed out at the last minute. But honestly, I feel like now I'm planning on relisting the property and going through the entire process on Friday. But I actually think I can bump the rent up from $50 from where I had it last time, just due to the fact of how many people I had interested. And one of my other properties, well, it's a Section 8 tenant, but I'm raising rent on them, and I'm having a vacancy from, well, my previous tenants were under market a bit, but I plan on raising the rent and don't feel like I should have too much problems getting a tenant. But that's just me in New Hampshire. So,
And you mentioned you're under market value slightly.
well, it wasn't by much. I mean, they were paying like they were they were paying 2,500, where Section 8 pays 2,750. My Section 8 tenant from last year that was paying 2,600 is getting bumped up to that, and I don't see why not. I can get 2,750. I mean, I don't. I yeah, I don't see why. We'll find out once I list that unit in like September or something. But in the meantime, I listed one property at 1,800, which I thought was fair market rent, and I got over I got over 100 interested people in 4 days. Showed it to 10. Yeah, selected one person who backed out on me, and I feel with those numbers I could bump it up to 1,850.
Let's see. So what else is going on? Santiago, have you um, had any progress in what you're trying to do? Have you, so you went on a trip, right, to check out a market north of you?
Yeah. So I'm in Florida. I'm in South Florida, but so a couple weeks ago I went to Ocala, Florida, which is much like Central Florida. Last week, and then this past weekend I went up to Orlando to look at properties there. At least look at the areas, kind of scope what I sort of saw on Zillow and other software online. Yeah, basically what I'm doing here, since I'm in South Florida, I'm kind of following that advice of trying to see maybe a couple hours, 3 hours drive, what's around. And at the end of the day, it's really tough for me to find something in good condition in a decent area that would cash flow right now. The prices in Florida are starting to come down in certain areas, but not to like normal levels. It's just everything's so overpriced that a significant drop, still keeps it overpriced, and it doesn't cash flow right now. So, I'm kind of looking around. I'm trying to, I'm trying kind of in my head. I'm thinking, I wonder if maybe I should just get, because I'm looking for like a triplex or a quadplex, but I'm also now considering maybe like a single family, just so I can put the money to work. And if it's a good deal, it's a good deal. I have a little bit of urgency because I plan on leaving my job at the end of the year, so I won't have a W-2 to back me up for finance. So I was hoping to do another purchase before that. So a little bit of a time crunch, but I also don't want to rush it and get something that's not gonna, be profitable. So, the search continues, I guess.
Yeah, that's good. Did I hear you say last week, were you considering rent by the room?
I am considering, I don't know if I mentioned it on one of the calls, but I am considering it. It's, I think it's one of the few ways now that we can probably make some cash flow on these properties. And in fact, I've kind of started looking, or at least keeping an eye on areas where there are universities and colleges around, because you know, then you have a consistent tenant pool of students that might be interested in that type of rental, right? So I am keeping an eye on that. Right now, I'm kind of just casting a really wide net, which is probably counter to the whole buy box situation, but trying to, I don't know. I'm just a lot of stuff going on in my head, and I can't seem to narrow on something down. Everything that I look at doesn't really cash flow, so I keep shifting. I don't know if that's the right thing to do or not, or maybe I should just kind of wait on, you know, focus on something and sort of stick it out and see what comes of it. But like I said, I'm a little bit of a time crunch, so I'm kind of shifting from one buy box to the other, so to speak.
Yeah, that we did that for a while too in the beginning, and it was really hard to concentrate on just one thing because you hear about all the other successes people are having, you know, doing various other strategies. But, you know, when, and I think Jared had a similar situation with Coach Carson when they were just telling us, you know, pick one thing and focus on it. And give it a fair amount of time, whether it's a couple months, 3, 4 months. And after that, if it doesn't work, then you can pivot. I know Chester had a similar thing going for a while. He was looking to do like a rent by the room version. He was looking in around schools in his area, and he did that for quite a long time, and then decided to pivot after, you know, after that wasn't working out. So
Yeah,
I think as long as you give it a good chance, but it
yeah.
is. Go ahead.
I'm going back and forth, right? So, um, you know, the other thing too that kind of throws me off, it's a really, since I don't have an area, I don't really necessarily have an agent per se you know, to kind of work with on this. And, you know, I'm just kind of basing my research on different pieces of software, and, you know, Zillow, and using Coffee Closers as well. I subscribed to that for a month, and just recently subscribed to PropStream, so I'm checking that out as well. So yeah, there's I think I don't know if it's hurting more than it's helping, but I'm just seeing a lot of information, and I don't know if it's helping or hurting at this point, because I can see locations where, you know, excuse me, where like population growth is going down, right? So I'll find a house or a property, and it looks like it's cash flowing, and it's been, you know, dropping in price, and I'm like, okay, maybe there's an opportunity here. Then when I check the software, it's like, you know, it's been, you know, income in the area, the average is going down, and the population is going down. I'm like, you know, definitely don't want that, right? I mean, maybe the cash flow now, but I don't want it to be sitting there empty, you know, in a few years or whatever. So, you know, you know, it's a bit of a struggle trying to find the right thing. But usually the last time I did this was actually, I got fortunate too. It was in 2019. That was really the last time I bought a property. That was the triplex in New Jersey, and, you know, I'm trying to follow the same process, I guess. Because when I saw that one, I was like, okay, I just researched the area. I saw how many rooms there were, and just checked rent. And I'm like, okay, and the price of the home. I was like, I can make an offer, and if this works, it just everything kind of seemed to make sense. But I don't know, this market's weird. Like, things are just not, you know, the math is not mathing right now.
Yeah, well, it seems like when you get to that point where you think property might work, and then, like you mentioned, the population shifting or changing or declining, have you reached out to an agent at that point to kind of verify what you're seeing? Because they, you know, they might have a better idea of that little area of the market. You know, we always talk about street by street,
Yeah.
neighborhood by neighborhood, but if you're that close, I would probably reach out to an agent, and then you could start I guess sifting through agents to also find out if they would be a good fit for you. you know,
Yeah.
once
That's
you
a
find one that might be an investor in the area, things like that.
you bring up a good point though, something that I was kind of it was a question in my mind, and I just realized I meant to ask it, but with this whole NAR agreement, right? Anybody know if because there apparently you have to sign off on a contract with an agent at that point when you're about to buy, like they can't show you a property without signing a contract, but does anybody know if, I can have an agent in Orlando, an agent in like further up north, and an agent in Miami? Can I sign with all three? Anybody know the nuances of that? Kind of confused as to what's going on there.
I'm not
I
sure.
believe you can. I
Go
believe you
ahead.
can have as many as you want to, as long as you sign a non-exclusive agreement. So I actually had so me learning in the market and out in Atlanta, we had I spoke with maybe 6 or 7 agents. Only one of them, and I think she was a little bit newer, where she was working with a lot more of retail buyer. I don't. And she had mentioned, yeah, she signs or she requests that we would have an exclusive agreement. And I talked to some of the other agents after the fact because I was like, oh, well, that's odd for an investor like us because we're trying to get into different areas, for instance. But yeah, all the other agents that I've talked to, especially the investor agents, had mentioned that don't sign with her, and you can sign with everyone else once this agreement comes by on the 17th. And that's just saying that essentially they get, paid a certain amount, is my understanding. So they'll get compensated a specific amount, but you sign a non-exclusive agreement, so you can sign with multiple agents. That's my understanding.
Makes sense. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I guess at the end of the day, you're just signing the contract to indicate the the numbers, right? What the commission is and what they intend to do for you. And but if it's a what was the word?
Non-exclusive.
Non-exclusivity.
So then yeah, it makes sense that it can use several other ones. Yeah, that helps. I think I'm gonna make sure I bring that up next time I talk to the agents. I've been talking to a few. I just don't have somebody that I can be like they're my go-to, right? Especially since I'm going from one area to the next, it makes it difficult, and I'm sure they're kind of getting tired of sending stuff over and me looking at it and saying this is not cash flowing, and then they're like, oh, okay, go to the next one.
Yeah, I think we got lucky. Like I've said before, our agent there in St. Louis, and even one of the turnkey providers that we've worked with in the past, they, well, honestly, the turnkey provider, after we had a couple deals under contract and I passed on a couple, there was things like one property ended up being in a flood zone, so that was kind of a given. We didn't want to take that one on, but he came. And I've told people before, if you can let an agent know why the property doesn't fit for you, and talk to them like that, they'll have a little bit more respect for you as well. Not just, oh, I don't like the color of the front door or something silly like that. If you can give them the reasons why they don't work for you, chances are they'll keep sending stuff your way. I mean, there is going to be a point there also, right? They're not going to keep going for years and years and years when
Yeah.
you haven't bought anything.
Yeah.
I think another thing, Santiago, I would recommend, and to take it with a grain of salt, but I would say that you could, with those agents, give them your parameters. How much are you anticipating for those costs, and how much do you want in cash flow for a specific property, and give them that set of parameters first and say, hey, look, I'm looking for properties that will give me $300 cash flow with maybe 24% after like everything else, right? So after your property management, after your your maintenance costs, and after all that vacancy rates and whatnot, whatever your numbers happen to be, I recently did that with one of the agents, and essentially it's like a, it's like a pass through the agent's filter first with those parameters before they send it to you, or you can say, give it to me, give me deals that you think are deals that are close to these numbers, because then you can start to negotiate and say, well, you're offering 50K under or whatever it is to make the deal work. That's when you can start crunching the numbers a little bit more, but not just give you anything that underneath the sun that you think might be a deal needs to work for you.
Yeah, and I can do that myself too, right? That's something that's kind of a little bit annoying right now. Is that they're basically sending me stuff that I can just find on Zillow anyway. So
Right, exactly.
I'm doing my own math and I'm not seeing it there. Then I see they send me something. It's something that I've already looked at. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not finding the right investor friendly realtors, But it's part of the business, I guess. So keep looking.
Yeah,
I
good.
kind of had a question as far as when to involve an agent, and this might be a semi-unique situation. So I am licensed in North Carolina, but I'm not actually doing the agent work. And so as far as what I'm doing to find deals, I have access to the MLS, and so I set myself up searches, and then I look at everything that comes in, and then I was still going to use, because I did work for a real estate agency, so I was going to use them to write the offer just so that they get a commission. I can maintain that professional relationship. But as far as like, I would look at the deals that come in, I would essentially calculate the math and then essentially not keep knocking the purchase price down until I could make the numbers make sense. And then to avoid annoying all the agents by having them send in ridiculously disrespectful offers every other day for stuff that came in just to see if anybody would take it, I would directly message the listing agent and be like, hey, I'd be willing to buy it for this price. Let me know if you're interested. Contact me at, info. And then if that works for you, I'll have the official offer submitted. And then just seeing if anybody says, yeah, that'll work. And then at that point, I'd have the buyer's agent write the official offer. Is there anything, does that sound like a decent way to go about doing it, or any suggestions?
For your buyer's agents, is there a reason to include them? I'm just wondering.
It's mostly so that because they'll try to catch, they can catch things that I may miss just because I'm not an experienced agent. I bought my license to see if being an agent is something I wanted to do, and it turned out I didn't. And I was also doing that as sort of just like I'm friends with the Berkman Church who runs the place, and it's sort of like a way to maintain a professional relationship with the company that I did work for. Because she does, it's really helpful to just have a network of people set up through there. And my logic behind it was, well, the buyer's commission is not paid by the buyer, so it's essentially, for me, it would still be a free service, but then they still get essentially paid. And that's kind of where my thinking was on that.
Got it. Because I think I heard, even today, I think it was today, Mike Zuber, he was mentioning that, like, you could reach out to the listing agent and essentially ask them to represent you as well. And that essentially have the listing agent double dip, get whatever the whole commission is. It's a little bit more incentive for them to do so and make the deal work, but that may or may not help the situation. And some agents, I think, don't want to do that. Some do.
Yeah, because that gets messy.
Yep.
And this is something I learned in the class, is because when you sign up as either the buyer or the listing agent, you exclusively represent the interests of that person. But if you're a dual agent, you essentially can't represent one side without screwing the other side. So you essentially you're kind of just there making sure the deal goes through, but you can't offer advice. So most agents try to shy away from that.
What you can do is you can talk to the seller agent, and if they don't want to represent you as a buyer, you may wanna you can ask them if they wanna find an agent with their brokerage, like within the same brokers. That way, the broker they will still make more money, and there is another agent from the same brokerage that will represent you as well. And it seems like it worked for me uh, with the property I bought in last year, because they kind of eliminated another broker, because usually the agent make the 3% or whatever, and then the part of that will go to the broker. Now, if you get two agents paying to the one broker, that makes them more money than if they use another broker, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because they get the brokerage gets the double dip on the sale essentially.
Exactly. And so they liked it. They liked it more because they keep more, and that way, I think it was for me was the agent was the brokerage was basically motivated to work with me versus the other buyers, because they can keep more, and you know they even gave me a little more better terms.
That's true.
So yeah, that's one way to avoid one agent working for the seller and the buyer at the same time.
That's a good idea because I guess like you're saying, it would kind of incentivize accepting my deal. And then I guess as far as just part of me is trying to do like just the offer work in general. I'm just trying to make sure I'm doing it right. So I'm just essentially just looking at everything that goes in and then just trying to check all the places that I can and then just send whatever offer would make the deal work and then just kind of hope it works. Because as far as single family goes in my market right now, it's nothing, at least for list price or within 20% down, would cash flow as far as where the rents are. So I've just kind of been trying to make the numbers work and then just sending whatever purchase price would make it work.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do. I want to ask you as well. Want to ask you guys on the what do you guys see as for cash on cash or yield these days? Like, um, you are you seeing yields? What percentage are you seeing um, uh, in this market with this high interest rate? And I mean, is it is it making sense at this rate? Before I know, maybe they will cut at some point, but I was curious what everyone is seeing as far as cash on cash return, whether it's single family or multifamily.
Can I blow your mind real quick, Sam?
Go ahead, 15%, right?
Well, I'm actually getting 18 on two of the properties, and then the third one I'm in the 30s. And the reason why I'm in the 30s is because I cheated and used a VA loan. But yeah, so anyway, I'm
That's
pretty
awesome.
but it comes with the headache, co-living. You guys know what I'm doing. So it is a pain, but for me that return is worth it.
That's awesome.
It
And
just
I
depends
know
on how much
Frank,
pain you're willing to deal with.
yeah, uh, uh, and I've been analyzing this property I was telling you about, and it was it's not getting there, maybe because it's of the high taxes and high insurance that we have here in Texas. So trying to see maybe should approach it in another way, but you know we'll see what happens. But Also, Frank, you mentioned 12% or 10%. So just curious if that is a if that if that includes maintenance or capex or just the property manager.
Yeah, Sam. So when we analyze for ourselves, we're taking obviously the pity that principal interest, taxes, and insurance, and then 10% for property management, and then 15% for capex, maintenance, and vacancy. And after all of that is taken out from the gross rent, then we were shooting for at least 200 per door with a 10% cash on cash return. And we've been hitting that every time. The only time now that it's coming into question is when we fill these 2 new units, will the rents be there to keep that return or make it better? Hopefully it'll be a little bit better, but we won't know until we get them filled. That's usually what we go for.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was curious if anyone would buy for example, a fourplex with a 5% return versus not now, versus buying 3 or 4 properties in the next 3 to 4 years, which are single family homes, and so with a higher return, maybe around 10%. What would anyone have anyone thought about that? Like if you buy today with a fourplex with 5%, versus buying 4 properties in the next 3 to 4 years, that they will yield 10%, but that comes with you're gonna buy them in the next, buy one to this year, for example, buy another one next year, and so on. I was curious if anyone did the math, and it may seem like waiting is better, but I was curious if anyone have thoughts about around that.
So I have an unconventional way of doing things. Maybe this is just because I house hack, but basically when I'm ready to go, I basically look, unless all the deals are absolutely awful, when I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go and I just choose whatever is best on the market at that time. But that has a lot more to do with the fact that your 5% owner occ resets every year. So when you're only 3 buildings into it like me, I feel like it's more important to get momentum going rather than, wait around forever to get like that great home run deal. I'd rather just start with the base hits, build momentum, and then, once I get a lot, then I'll only look at those great. I can be more patient and wait for those great deals that I can do them whenever I want. But yeah, I think as long as you're doing something that's has a good yield and you're in growth mode, I think momentum is more important than, waiting. So like I'd rather do in my market an 8 than wait like an extra 6 or 7 months to find a 12. Let's just say that.
No, you brought a great point about the momentum. Yeah, that is something that is something there, and like maybe if you buy today, there's never estimate the appreciation, never, or but there will be also some some principal pay down. So and And who knows what happens in that market? Maybe in 2 years, maybe things will jump, and and maybe that property that you're thinking of buying in the next 2 years, well, you may not be able to afford it anymore. And the property that you're looking at it now, I mean, if you don't, if you miss on it, maybe you won't be able to buy it. And you gave earlier an example about one property that you looked at in 2019, and that's not too far from now. So yeah, I see that as a
Also,
yeah. Just wanted to brainstorm on that.
No, absolutely. Like speaking of 2019, yeah, it's like right now my best deal was my first deal that I bought in 2019, and now what? My mortgage payment went from when I bought it. It's gone down from 2,400 to 2,200. It was below 2,000 at one point when I refinanced once, but then property taxes and insurance going up. But yeah, when I bought it, the rents were like, yeah, 36,000, and now that building can do 5,000. So yeah, back in 2019, the rents were 3,600. Now that building has rents of 5,500. So yeah, it's been a pain in the ass building throughout the years, but look at it now.
it depends on your budget too, right? So, because for example, for myself, I'm looking for properties. I'm jumping around, right? Like I mentioned earlier, right? It could be a single family, duplex, quad. But at the end of the day, I'm looking to only invest a maximum of around 100,000 all in. So because I have only that much right now, I'm trying to make the best of it, right? So I won't be able to buy another house right away after the first one, and then a third one after that one, right? Like in the scenario you kind of presented. But my goal is that whatever I buy, I would like to, I'm aiming for like a 10%, right? If I can get cash on cash or 10% on that, I think that would be a winning scenario for me. And then um I can kind of sit back a little bit, reassess the situation, take a look at my the rest of my funds and see where I can go next, right? But at the end of the day, it also, I guess my point was really matters what your budget is, right? If you have the funds to kind of keep purchasing property after property, that could be very well viable if you come across good deals. But in my scenario, I'm very meticulous or careful about what I buy because I kind of have a one-time 100K budget to invest right now, and then I have to reassess and go back and take a look at my 401K, see if I want to use some of those funds to reinvest and sort of figure that part out. So I don't know, that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think so, Sam, I was thinking like for somebody that doesn't have any properties at all yet, and they get that first one, um, time can really make a big difference. In 2 or 3 years, you'll have a lot more options with that one property versus saving up to try to pick one up in 3 years. Like you mentioned, the principal pay down, things like that. If you got one today and your interest rate is 7, and then in a couple of years it's 5.5 or 6, then that's going to, give you opportunities then to refinance and create greater cash flow and things like that. Maybe not as short a time span, a little bit longer time span. We've been learning things about mortgage recasting and different things that could create more cash flow in the future to add to the account that you're going to buy from. So it'll help you accumulate those savings quicker also. But if you just say you had his Santiago's 100,000 in the bank right now, losing money every month, for a year or 2 years or whatever you're waiting for that deal, then it's not going to be worth what it is worth today either.
Yeah, awesome thoughts. Yeah, that's great. Thank you guys for. Yeah, great points there. Yeah, I mean, the budget and the money in the bank and stuff like that, and the timing. Like, yeah, that's all. I think I saw. Not gonna be a base hit. So yeah, I mean, sounds like the momentum goes with along with that. So yeah, appreciate the input and.
I think at the end of the day, as long as you don't make a bad deal, then you've made a good decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that because as long as you're floating, then you don't have to. You're not forced to sell it.
Yeah.
Right away. That is still that's a win in today's interest rates, right? As long as you're not losing money and it's not an alligator from the get-go. So awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, when I didn't know any better, I guess, but when I was during the around 2006, around that area, right, when like market was peaking at that time before the huge downturn, I had some money to invest, and I ended up buying a condominium at that point, but it was, like kind of around the top of the market. I forget what it was, 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. And then that thing lost like half its price, something like that, or something crazy. So I was only able to get rid of that property. I lived in there, so I wasn't paying rent, but I was only got rid of it. It took me like 14 years to sort of make back the money that I had spent, plus a little bit more to put down on the next property. So time is your friend. In that time, I made a bad deal, right? I could have probably, if I knew better, I could have made a better deal and gotten rid of that property earlier, and maybe even bought some on the way down, right? When everybody else was panicking, I could have taken advantage of that. But yeah, that's live and learn, I guess. Are you?
And did that rent? Go ahead.
Not so good.
I was going to say that how did the rent behave when the price went down half a price? That how was the rent at that time?
Yeah, so I mean, half the price is probably kind of exaggerating there because it was in Florida. I was in Jersey, so it wasn't that. In Florida, it did go down like half the price, but in Jersey, it wasn't that bad. Rent wise, I mean, I lived in it, so I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was taking
Couldn't
advantage.
tell.
Yeah, I wasn't really doing anything. I had some hardships with other properties too, so I had some agreements with the mortgage company. They gave me, a lower interest rate for a little bit and things like that. So a lot of things that kind of helped me stay afloat. But yeah, I could not have rented it. I think that's probably the right answer. I could not have rented it, and I would have been underwater at that point, and I couldn't rent it for more than the mortgage I was paying for. If that makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't be making any
Yeah.
cash. So that was my situation back then. Yeah. Now I can, and when I sold it. Now I'm kicking myself for selling it. I could have probably I sold it to buy the property in Jersey that I was speaking about earlier, the 3-family, and I wish I wouldn't have, because that property, in 6 months, like it's $100,000 more than what I sold it for, right? And then rents are like maybe $300 or $400 extra from when I left the place.
Wow. Yeah.
And I wish I could have maybe scrunched up some money to be able to keep that, but at the end of the day, I that was sort of like my mortgage for the new property was sort of contingent on me selling that one. So, but yeah, I don't
Oh, you
think
made you have to make some. Yeah, you have to make something out of. Make a sacrifice to get something else. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good move. I don't regret buying the Jersey property because I sold a condo that there was a lot of new assessments and things like that happening, right? Things were breaking down, roof was starting to leak. And it's a small building, so every time there's an assessment of something expensive, we carry a lot each on the property. So, but yeah, the property that I have now, then got it, cash flows really well, and I renovated it. I lived in it for a while. I had house hacked that as well for like 3 years, while I was in Jersey, and then I rented out the last apartment, last unit when I moved here to Florida. And yeah, that's probably my best property, to be honest with you. And I have a couple that I've had for like maybe 10, 15 years, that are paid off. But I made this one work, and I got really fortunate with that one. I'm trying to duplicate that, and that's what's getting me I can't make it happen again. Everything I find, it makes $0, and that one just kind of was cash flowing really well off the top, and then after I renovated all 3 units, it was just more, and I can probably raise it more now, but I don't want to lose the tenants. I don't want to go through all that. I'd rather just focus on getting new property and stabilizing it. Yeah, it's a fun journey.
Awesome. That's
Sean, how did you know we would still be here?
It's just a guess.
Good to see you. What's going on with you?
I fell asleep watching the Olympics. I woke up and said, holy smokes, the accountability group's going on.
And this is going to keep you awake? Somebody was asking, Kevin had asked, has anyone looked into building ADUs in their market?
I did, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I don't want to hug the floor here, but
No.
I did. One I have a property in Florida in Kissimmee. No, sorry, in Orlando also. That I have a lot of space in the back. It's a huge backyard. So I was hoping I could build something there, be much cheaper for me than buying a whole lot of property, obviously. And I spoke to the city hall, I guess, or the mayor and the mayor's office, and they said that for that section, for that area, I could only build an ADU if it's attached to the unit. So it can't be a separate ADU, it has to be attached to the original. And I have to be living in the main property.
Oh, that's right. You did mention that. Yeah, it's the same thing here in California. My mom was going to do that. And she would have had to live on the property. She couldn't just have it as another rental. And then as far as it being attached to the main house, I think, we were talking about little things to get around rules and stuff, but they were saying as long as the roofs were attached, right? It didn't have to be like attached to the side of it or anything. But as long as the roof was attached, they would consider that. And but
The moment I lived there, I was like, yeah, it's not, unfortunately, it's not
right.
plans right now, but would have been a good house hack for somebody.
Yeah. And now too, with a lot of people looking for multi-generational housing, that could be pretty attractive to a buyer if you were going to sell it.
I've seen a lot of those, a lot of the new construction that I was kind of poking around with. Some of the multi-generational housing, it seems like they build a separate unit with everything except a kitchen. So it might just have something like a wet bar, right? But it has its own, it's very private, its own entrance, closet, bathroom, full bathroom. Even they might even have like a small living area plus the bedroom, but they just don't have a kitchen on some of these. Found that very interesting.
Yeah, that kind of limits what you can do with it a little bit.
Yeah, I know in one of the counties that I looked in, I looked at like a house that had a workshop that had power into it, and was thinking about the possibility of converting it to an ADU. And the long and short of it is I looked at the zoning and the regulations in this particular county, and you could have a guest house, but it couldn't have a full kitchen in it. And if you had someone in it, I think there was some kind of rule about how long they could stay, but like, a midterm rental would probably work for the property. But you'd have to do like a galley kitchen or something with an air fryer, and you could do hot plates and stuff, but no oven.
Which county are you in again, Sean? You said you're in the Northwest, but or what city
Well,
were you in?
this one was
Look
in
into
was actually in Cherokee County. I'm in Cobb. But
Gotcha, gotcha.
this one that I was looking at was in Cherokee.
Got it. Yeah, I gave myself homework this week to sort of talk to the zoning community development group out in the cities I'm looking into, and I hit up Norcross and they just gave me some information, so I'm gonna look into it. But I was interested in seeing if anyone else had those same revelations.
Yeah, they keep trying to say here anyway that they want to make it easier to get ADUs and other types of housing, but when my mom was looking into it, it was like $23,000 just to submit the plans. And I mean, that could go a long way on building a small place like that. And I think she was limited to 680 square feet. So like a nice size 1-bedroom unit, but again, she would have had to live there. So it didn't make sense. Who else popped in? Hey, Travis, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Just at work tonight, so I thought I'd stop in.
Oh yeah, yeah. Good to see you. Were you were talking about the deal that you were in right now? That was a duplex, you said, I think in Springfield?
And it's outside of St. Louis, Missouri, but
Okay.
yeah, it's about, I don't know, 40 minutes from downtown, maybe something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're closing on that on Friday, and the new roof got put on today, so
great.
Should be good to go. So
yeah, are you going to manage that yourself?
I am, yeah. The one tenants, I guess they used a property manager for them. I may keep the property manager going for the time being for that one, but for the other side, I'll do that myself. And I've had, I don't know, pretty good luck with that, and I don't mind it too bad. So
okay, good. Is that fairly close to you then?
yeah, that will be my furthest one away, and it's probably 40 minutes from me.
Okay.
So it's a little bit further than I like, but I mean, it's still not bad at all. So yeah, I use that Rent Ready software, that app for collecting the rent and stuff, and that's worked really well for me. So
okay, great. We were talking earlier because I mentioned that we just closed on one yesterday, and there have been some differences of opinion as far as what the rents will be. How do you mind if I ask, how are you setting your rents, and what might they be in your area?
So I use that Rentometer or Rentometer a lot. I look on Zillow, and then I also do Facebook Marketplace. Just try to get an average, like what I think. Oh, I've also used like apartments.com, and I kind of just search for that zip code,
Okay.
and then see what they're going. But I mean, there's not like a huge discrepancy, like maybe from county to county there is, but like the next town over, it's not usually too much different. But I know the further out you get, the rents are going to go down just a little bit, so I know what they are in, like, say, Wentzville, Missouri, and because I have a property there, and then so this one would be like the next town over, and I wouldn't expect to get quite as much, but it'd be similar, so.
Okay, and it still makes sense as far as price to rent ratio.
Yeah. hmm Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, the deal, it just made a lot of sense to me all the way around. And as far as, like I said, the price per square foot on the building, I'm like, I don't know how you could buy one or, like build one for that. And then like, that's a good value to me. And then the cash on cash return or the yield or whatever was there too. So I don't think, I mean, I think a lot of people get caught up in that, but like to me, sometimes it takes just a little while to stabilize a property. I mean, you should always probably, definitely be cash flow positive from the start, but it may take you a year to get that 10%,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe one other move. Like, so on this one, my rate is 7 3/8, and it still works and it's still a pretty good yield, but geez, wait until it's, 6 3/8.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll have my, then it'll be a really, really good deal, so.
Right. So with that being said, would you consider 1% drop enough to refinance?
I haven't really done the numbers on it, but possibly, yeah. Maybe if it went down 1%, I could maybe buy it down just a little bit further or something like that.
Okay. That's been a question too in our family. We were trying to look it up, whether you can buy the rate down if you're refinancing. Is that a thing?
I don't know. I'd have to ask the lender about that.
Yeah, on an investment property. I think my wife looked it up and she said
Hey,
not on it.
Hey Frank,
might
I
not-
can answer that.
Oh yeah. Hi Kenny.
Yeah. So yeah, you can buy the rate down when you refinance. I was given that option back in 2021 when I was refinancing my primary to get some investment money when I first started the journey. So yeah,
Okay.
it's a thing you can buy it down.
Okay, but you mentioned that was your primary. Is it different?
It was actually for my primary, and I know I was able to. Yeah, I was able to do it for my primary. I think you could do it for investment as well.
Okay, yeah, that was the question.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, you can do it for investment. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, it seems like you could, because when you're buying down the rate, all you're doing is prepaying like X number of years of interest, right?
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, they just run a time value of money calculation on it about the average time you hold it, and if like you hold it 7 years, it's a good move. If you hold it less, it's not. It's one of those.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Frank, I have a question. If you didn't have another topic on the list right away.
Oh no, I was just going to ask for more questions. Go ahead.
I'm wondering, this is kind of playing off the ADU question. I'm wondering if anyone has a property that has a trailer on it. A deal I found is a house. It's on an acre lot. But the guy that's selling it is obviously an investor. He's got 2 trailers on it. So it's basically 3 units, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's valued kind of like for the house. So it's almost like you get the trailers for free. And I'm just wondering if there would be septic issues, and even looking at the property taxes, since the trailers aren't permanent fixed, units, I guess you wouldn't be getting appreciation on that. But at the same time, the property taxes were really low. So, it was worth a second look, because, a three rent check property, that's got the property taxes of 1 is always worth another look, right?
Yeah, definitely sounds worth checking out. You might run that by Dion. I know his brother invests in mobile homes. I thought he had one with a house and a mobile home on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It
and
seems,
I don't know what the rules are on that or anything. Like sometimes zoning says you can only have like, so, I don't even know if it's legal to put it on, 2 trailers on a acre lot with a house, but the first thing, the investor thing clicked on me and I'm thinking, wonder if you could put 4 or 5 on there.
yeah,
Because sometimes you can get a mobile home for cheap, if you've already got the property to put it on.
right. Yeah, I think my first and biggest question would be on the septics. Do they all flow into one septic tank now?
Right. Yeah, it was, I saw it a while back and it went under contract and then it came back on the market and it's just been sitting there. It's got a lot of days on market, so that, looks like it might be an opportunity for a disrespectful offer with
Yeah,
several
and then,
units.
right. And then we've had luck in the past. I mean, if they've already say done an inspection and the previous buyer backed out after the inspection, sometimes they'll let you pay for half of the report and give you access to it. So you can look at the inspection report for half the cost. So that might be something to ask the agent.
That's
Also,
a possibility.
Sean, it may be that you have to look at the like from that perspective of septic. In my county, then let's say if you want to have 1 unit, you have to have this acreage or this kind of
Right.
land. But if you have 2, you have to have double that. If you have 3,
Right.
you have to have 3 times of that. So I wonder if you're in your county, how many, with the land that it's sitting on, how many units are allowed? Because it's easy to build on anything you found there, but then they would say, oh, no, you need an acre and a half to have 2 buildings, or a duplex or whatever, 2 units.
That was exactly what I was thinking, because this is actually it's not in my county. I don't know the zoning, but that was exactly what I was thinking. If that worked, some enterprising investor would have probably, you probably see somebody might have just had 2 trailers and put them on the lot. But kind of what I was thinking is if you could get the math working on just the house and get the trailers for free, it might make an interesting exercise too.
Yeah, I've seen it in both cases. I've seen it in the city where you don't have septic, so it's on sewer. They still limit you on how many units you can have on the lot.
Right.
Like the house I have was like 15,000, and they say you can't have 5 units on it, for example. You have to have maximum 4 units. And I've seen it, and it gets even more complicated if you have a septic or a water well, because a septic will require, like here, 3/4 of an acre, while water well will require like an acre and a half. So you gotta it's hard to navigate, but you gotta have to go and talk to the environmental and talk to engineering, permitting, and get to the details on exactly that address. Otherwise, we'll be fun. Otherwise, will be so much fun.
I'd say right up in the offer, just put a longer inspection, like, and maybe instead of a 10-day, like a 15-day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I was trying to find somebody that may have seen something like that before. I had seen some other some properties, and it wasn't in counties where I normally invest, but I had seen some where a guy like bought 15 acres and had been buying like trailers that were in rough shape and adding it to the property. And I think the rule was like 1 per acre or something, and he had several. It was a cash flowing deal, and there were several lots left where you could put something. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I have
wonder-
to, I have to check for this county.
Yeah, they're all different. That's for sure. Let's see.
It's definitely one of those deals where you're probably not going to get appreciation on it, but you could get quite a bit of cash flow if you had the land paid for and the taxes were low because there wasn't a permanent structure.
Right.
And you could add a rental unit on it and basically get the rent on that unit for free. I mean, if you consider that the primary house on the property is covering the mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. That could be a pretty lucrative deal for sure. I'm sure it piqued your interest.
Yeah, I'll look into it a little more.
Yeah, keep us updated. I don't know if does anybody else have any questions or anything they want to chat about this week? It's only 2 hours so far. We don't want to give that East Coast Accountability Group any ground. I think they're gaining on us. Last week they were 2.5 hours.
We'll throw something here then. We have to.
There you go.
Well, I'm looking at the house and it's got probably pier and beam foundation and a crawl space. So then and it got cast iron pipes and front. Maybe from your experience, if I were to replace that, would it be a bit easier if it's on pier and beam versus if that was in a concrete slab, like and like looking at that, how about the cost for that replacement? And is it a big deal, like if it's cast iron and it's working? Is that something that I gotta be concerned about at this moment or right away?
Yeah, if it's cast iron and it's working, I would say it's fine to leave it, because you can still get you can get a camera down there to check out most of the line. On cast iron, typically it deteriorates from the inside out, meaning you won't see it until it's already all the way through the pipe. And a lot of times the way they're joined, as long as it hasn't been shifted or jostled, because they used to pack the joints with like steel wool and then they would solder them. And that's a really strong joint, but just say, for example, there's a really bad earthquake or something and those joints move, then they're going to have to be resealed. You might be able to put like what you might call a Band-Aid over the whole joint, to keep the water from escaping. But if cast iron
is that a thing? Is that a thing, like joints, like Band-Aid on it? Is that something that can be done?
Yeah, and if the joint is bad, sometimes what they'll do is they'll cut the joint out. So you have the hub, which is the large part where the other pipe slips in. So sometimes you can cut that whole connection out and put a piece of ABS in there with two rubber clamps, which we've done in the past. They even make the same style joints, like coming down from a toilet, you'll have a long sweep, like a long sweep 90, and then on the end it has the clean out hub, so you can open it and put a snake down there, things like that. So you can still get the same shape fittings and just cut them out, where if you have an inspection, so whether somewhere it's going to go underground, it'll go under the foundation to either the septic tank or the city sewer, right? So that part underneath, going under the foundation, if that was deteriorated, that would be a little more expensive to change. Mikey and I were just talking about a thing they have now where, so under your house, you have the exposed cast iron, and then just say it has city sewer, so you have from there to the city sewer, and they have this new technology where they'll run a cable up the pipe, and then they'll attach it to this head, and then this head, as they pull it back through the pipe, it kind of crushes the cast iron as it goes, and they're pulling plastic pipe right behind it. So it makes space, it cracks the cast iron and it makes space to pull the plastic, and it's done. It was on an episode of all places on This Old House. They showed it like a couple weeks ago, and they were working on an old Victorian, and that's how they replaced the pipe. They didn't have to excavate anything. They just pulled a new plastic right there and made their connections on each end, and that was it. So I'm not sure if it's available everywhere, but that's something that they're doing.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was really
That would
incredible
be,
to see.
that's incredible. A nice technology. Here's a technology that makes sense now. Well, so on the same house, and talking about the electric. This house is old, so how do you, like, if you're looking at the house from the inside and there's walls and how would you determine if the house still have like a knob and tube electric wiring versus the new copper wiring? Because what I've seen is, you have the sheetrock and the outlets. I even went outside to look at the panel outside. It looks normal. It looks similar to my house, but the house is old, built in the 40s or maybe before that. So I wonder if is there anything I can determine, looking at it and determine if it's the knob and tube still.
Yeah, the best way to do it is just to jump up in the attic, because typically all of that is run in the attic. So you'll see the individual wires with the tubes and with the knobs. So you've seen knob and tube before, right?
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen it.
And then also, if you take the cover off your panel, you'll be able to see the wires coming in, if they're in Romex, if they're in the plastic sheathing or not. Typically on knob and tube, they won't be. They'll be coming into the panel individually.
And it's aluminum, right? It's aluminum wiring.
No, the knob and tube is the one that kind of has cloth around it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, material.
yeah,
And
right.
and then aluminum wiring is different, because both knob and tube and aluminum have, when we've gone to get insurance on our properties, they want to know if they have either one of those, because the insurance, some of them won't insure you if it's aluminum or knob and tube, and some will, and some will do aluminum but not knob and tube. So we've been lucky. I think our triplex has some knob and tube still, but we didn't have an issue with insurance, at least not till now. So, and then, I mean, knob and tube is really safe. The hot and the neutral are totally separated all the way through the house by 16 inches or so, so our house here has it still. It has a little bit left. I haven't gotten to change a couple of circuits, but it's been fine, and we have insurance. So maybe they don't know, but
I was going to say, do they know?
yeah, so that's real easy. If there's a crawl space hole going in the attic, just poke your head up there and you'll see all that. You'll be able to tell.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to get to the owner to allow me to go and see it again before he wants like an offer and all that. But he seems like he wants an offer, and then after that he wants me to look at these things during the option period while I'm trying to do my due diligence before I go into any option period, because that's just free time and I can do it and
right
prior to any commitment. So but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, so but thanks for that. That's great.
Yeah, and if you really got into it, you can pull an outlet or a switch, and you'll be able to tell there too what wires are coming in. You know, knob and tube will be in there individually with the cloth, that black cloth around them. So you'd be able to
Well,
tell.
that would be a dead giveaway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think
part of this being recorded now is I can go back and listen to what you just said, and while I'm I'm at the house, and while I'm opening these things, and I go from there. So
yeah, there
yeah,
you
I
go.
appreciate that.
Of course. Well, it looks like everybody's sleeping.
Did Mikey
Hey,
send? Yeah, go ahead.
is anybody here like an agent too, or do anything else in like the real estate world? I know, Frank, you're a contractor, but does anyone here kind of dabble and play in two roles?
I think Michael, who was here earlier, said he had his real estate license, but he doesn't really use it. I haven't seen anybody else around. And I don't know if you weren't here in the beginning, Curtis, but I was telling the folks that, and maybe you too, Sean, that next week we're going to have a lender on with us. Brian was here a couple weeks ago, but he's going to kind of be our special guest, and so he'll be talking and able to answer any lending questions you might have.
Cool.
And then, so that's on the 7th, and then on the 14th, one of the people that works with Dana from Hemlane is going to be on with us. So she's going to go through kind of what Hemlane's about, how it can help us landlords, things like that. And then there'll be a question and answer period for a little while after that. And
nice.
Yeah. And then one of our personal property managers has agreed to come on. So I'm hoping he will be the week following. So yeah, property management questions. And we'll probably talk a little bit about, what he's helped us do on, and he's the one for our triplex in St. Joseph, Missouri. And that's the one that we just did a big renovation on 2 of the apartments. And it's taken a while to rent the places out, so we'll be sharing that stuff, and hopefully they'll be rented by then, but we'll see. But yeah, so just hoping to bring a little bit more value to the meeting. So just so you guys know in advance, if you can jump in at the beginning, because that's when they'll be talking. And then I don't know how long they'll stay, but I think that'll be good.
Nice. Thanks for that, Frank. The reason and that I asked is because a few of the investors in my area have told me that it may be a good way to kind of generate some cash, but then also if I'm doing just my deal one per year with the house hack stuff, it could save me like thousands of dollars. The example that one guy gave is like, yeah, to kind of maintain the license is about 3 to 4K a year. But if I buy a house every year, that commission's like 15 to 20 grand,
Right, depending on the purchase price, right? So
yeah,
I think that's a good point, because in your market, the home prices are up there. So your 3% or 2.5% or whatever your site would be would certainly pay for your real estate license and save you some extra money. Yeah, that would be cool.
But the rules are changing on that, right?
Is the NAR settlement going to affect that?
Not from what I heard, because the agreement would be between me and the buyer, which is myself,
Oh,
yeah. And so when I was asking
because there's an investor up here that him and his team will do that. And I was asking, like, okay, well, is there like fees or whatever? And I guess there's certain brokerages where like you just pay them, like if it's your own deal, that you just pay them like a flat fee of like $100. So
Oh.
so it's not like I have to split, a lot with them.
Yeah, that would make sense then. I think that would be a great question for Beth too, if she's ever on again with Dion, or even just send her a message, because you probably want to get all that information in advance to make sure. I don't know, how long does it take to go through the classes to become an agent? Do you know?
I think it's a couple months. I think it's no more than 6 months. But like, I guess I could also ask Justin Canberra,
Oh yeah.
because he's in my area too. So
Yeah, I think that would be pretty smart, actually.
hmm
Yeah,
okay.
I think those, yeah, Justin and her are the only other agents I know of that we talk with.
Yeah, and because I guess just myself would pay off, and then if I did even anybody else's deal in the area, be it family, friends, or strangers, then like that's just even cash that I wasn't expecting, I guess.
Right. And two, I forgot about Mark. Mark, the
Oh
financial
yeah.
firefighter, yeah, because he's an agent too, right?
hmm I know he does more of the like property management stuff, but that's a good one too. I think the next time that we go live, I think I'll ask him about that one.
Yeah, yeah. I'm surprised he's not here bugging us tonight. He must be sick or something.
Might be putting out a fire.
No, more like saving a cat.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. We all know he doesn't actually work.
No, every time we see him, he's just walking around with in the weight room or in the kitchen or something like that.
Yeah. Well, one call we asked a question and he was like in the fire truck going to a fire, right? And he was said, "I can't come on camera right now. I'm in the fire truck."
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't recall
It was
that.
on one of these calls.
Oh, I must have just been ignoring him. I tend to do that.
Yeah.
Well, good. I guess we're gonna call it a night.
I think this is the first one I've ever been to all the way to the end to. It's like I usually.
I'll just let it keep running until we hit the 4-hour mark, but I'll see you guys.
Cool. Good to see y'all.
Thanks
Thanks,
for
everyone.
dropping in, Curtis.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks you guys. Bye, Anna.
Lots of good questions. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Frank.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is Kevin.
Oh, Kevin.
Yeah, was whatever happened with the Chester's deal? Remember last time we were talking about his inspection? I was just curious.
Yeah. Are you there, Chester? Uh-oh. We were just talking about that guy. So Kevin, I guess Chester's doing something, but he went back to the turnkey provider with his inspections. And from what he told me, the turnkey provider is taking care of all those issues.
Nice.
Yeah.
There we
So
go.
he's
Look what
still.
the Kratz dragged in.
What's that?
What?
What are you guys talking about?
Yeah. No, we were just shutting down for the night. Yeah. So
You guys are still here?
So Kevin, yeah, he's still moving forward on his deal. I don't know what the time frame is for them to do those repairs and for him to close yet, but definitely check in with him. Are you Kevin, are you ever on with Dion or Matt on their lives?
I was on yesterday. I think I just poked in for a little bit, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's always in there too. Might be able to ask him or send him a message. Do you have his if you want his information, I think we could dig it up.
No worries. No, I was just curious because we were talking about it last week. I just wanted to, I'm just trying to keep everyone accountable.
Yeah, no, for
See
sure.
what see what he did.
He's doing awesome. Yeah, he went back to those guys with his thing and let them know that it was an issue, and from what I understood, they were going to deal with it for him. So that was good.
Nice. Well, cool. Thanks everyone. Mark just joined in, so I got to head out.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. And that other firefighter too, Brett, is here. Double trouble.
Oh, we can't go now.
Hey,
This is
there's one
starting
good
to
one
get
and one bad
fun.
one.
Yeah.
I was here earlier,
All right,
but
thanks,
didn't
everyone.
caught calls, so.
Thanks, Kevin. We'll look forward to seeing you next week.
See you later.
Okay.
Brett, what you been up to?
Just working. That's about it. We had the RNC in town, so it was crazy busy during that stuff. But when did I close? I closed on a duplex like a little while ago, like a month ago now. So got that one. Did the binder method with them. I never have good luck with them. They're always like, well, just tell us what the rent's gonna be. It's like, well, I'm allowing you to, be a part of this. It's kind of funny. I told her to do some research, and she did come back with like rents were way higher than what she was paying. I was like, so I'm like, we'll settle right in the middle then for her. So we'll see. I'm not too enthused about her because she's running the daycare out of the first floor.
Oh, right.
But that's not really something I really want to mess with. But she's like licensed actually and insured and stuff like that. So, and the house is kept pretty good on the inside. So we'll let it go for a while and see how it goes.
Great. So how much of an increase did that mean for you?
Well, she was like only paying $800 for a 3-bedroom duplex. So it was 800 lower, 800 upper. I upped the upper to 1100, and the lower, because she run the business out of it, I did 1300. And I still feel like that's actually pretty fair. I could have gone higher if I wanted to, but I didn't feel like having a vacancy right now.
Yeah, I understand that. So, what is the rest of the market doing right now on units that size?
I feel like we're a little bit low. I feel like people are pushing up to like 1300 on a lot of them. Maybe like 1200.
Be careful.
Our newer one, we just redid. We got 1350 for it. And we had a lot of interest, but it was 100% brand new floors, brand new plumbing, bathrooms, everything. So cabinets. And I was pretty comfortable with 1350. So, I don't want to push them too high. If it's a single family, like we have a single family that we're at like 1550 or something like that. So single families, I feel like you can get more for them. So
Yeah, that sounds good. I think one of ours is 14 and the other one's 1350. Last
in
time.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
Brett.
My duplex is upper lowers, so yours is a little bit nicer because they're side by sides.
Side by sides, yeah.
So. So I feel like I know you guys were talking about the markets, what you guys were seeing when I was in here before I had to leave. I feel like Milwaukee's still holding pretty steady. I don't feel like there's a lot of price drops and stuff like that here yet. And I don't feel like stuff's staying on the market crazy long that I've been seeing. So
yeah,
Brett, what is your cash on cash return on the duplex you're closing on soon?
I I'm really bad. I gotta run my numbers again and just like at the rents and all that stuff. So I mean the rents before were 1,600 total, but now they're gonna be, what is that, 2,400 total. So I mean I paid 134 for it. I believe is what I paid for it. And it's pretty good. I'm probably gonna put a roof on it. That's gonna be like, my guy came back at 5,500. So you know, I'll put a little bit of money into it, but I'll still be, you know, probably at like 140-ish when I'm all done with everything I want to do to it. So
No, that's a really good deal.
yeah, I don't like I don't know, I don't run my numbers like on every property. I just know kind of like, okay, this is, if I'm here and here, I know I'm good. So then I just jump on it. So but I think my next ones that I buy are gonna be more fixer uppers. So I'll have to kind of do a little bit more running my numbers and making sure. But I've done enough remodel now where I think I can, you know, I pretty much know what I can do for 20 grand or whatever. So
Awesome. Yeah, good luck. Good luck.
thank
Congratulations
you.
on that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
that's awesome.
I was gonna bug you the other day, Brett. I was gonna ask you, you gave me your gutter guy's name and he sent me an
Yeah.
estimate. Could I get his
Mhm.
name again? Because I couldn't find the estimate. Was
Yeah.
it D&D?
D&W.
D&W.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Is it like I'm trying to think if it was like Ryan or I'll look at my emails, see what's their name.
Okay.
They're like two brothers that run it. I mean, the dad had the company, and I think the two brothers are running it now.
Okay.
The kids are, I should say.
You got lost in the AOL, that's why.
You know,
Mark.
I am never gonna live that one down, am I?
Yeah, but you and Chris both have it. The funny thing, you and Whitney both have it.
Chris is not
Whitney,
60.
I know.
Oh, that one shocked me. I said, there's no way that man could be 60.
Nah, I think he's like 50, 54, I think.
Oh, is he really? He does not
Yeah.
look anywhere near that.
Yeah.
Well, I think you owe me for all this ammunition I've given you for all this time.
No, I'm deeply concerned if you lost that information in your email.
I always lose stuff.
You guys are funny. I'm sorry. I know you were shutting down already, Frank.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm glad these guys jumped in. Even Mark. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, those numbers that Brett was talking about, they seem pretty good. I mean, without putting it down on paper and stuff, they seem pretty good for what he's, you know, the cash on cash seems pretty good.
Yeah, let's ask how he found this deal because it's at Wentz Ferry. That's a really good deal. Yeah, how did you find it there?
This is the third deal we bought from this guy. So the big thing is I always ask, like, you know, do you have any more? You want to sell them or anything like that? So we bought, me and my partner bought two of his other properties. We paid 150 for one of them. That's pretty much, I mean, it could use some updating and stuff like that, but the tenants are in there. I think they were paying like 750 or something like that. We upped them to 1,100 each because they were paying super low. So it's just like an older gentleman that's getting out of the business basically. So go ahead. Oh, and then so we bought, and then this next one we bought for 90 because it was roaches and all that crap. It was terrible. We totally redid that. We probably put 40 into that one, I'm guessing. That was a full duplex remodel that I pretty much did. And then so I brought this one to my partner. I said, hey, he's ready to do the other one. And he wasn't ready to do another one yet. So I was like, okay, well, I'm doing this one no matter what. Like, so I ended up finding some help to get it and stuff like that on my own. So But yeah, so it worked out.
I have a guy who's also, you know, maybe in his 70s maybe or more, but he's stuck on the price. He's stuck on the. So I'm trying maybe to see if you can. How would you come up with an agreement? But my case, he does have an agent, a seller agent, and you know he always will ask like he'll always ask you know, are you willing to come up to the price I'm asking, or I was curious if you had the same experience or not.
The one we bought for 150, there's multiple people trying to get that one, so we did a full price offer, I think it was. The one for 90, he actually had it listed for 120. We negotiated down just because of how bad the condition was. And the other one, I just pretty much told him what I'd give it for him. So like my first set of properties that I bought, when I bought it under a land contract, that guy was very particular. He was an older gentleman. He wanted a certain price for what he wanted for him, and I was like, that's fine, but I can't like buy 5 properties right away. But when I got him to do a land contract, but he didn't have a realtor. So that was kind of easy. Just talk to him directly. I actually just took him out for brunch and stuff like that and talked to him, and got it that way. So I know realtors always kind of mess it up, but they always say, right, if it's maybe the prices, if he's fixed on the price, maybe you can get terms, depending on how much he, owes on it and stuff like that, that works for you. So, but a lot of agents don't like to work with seller financing. They think they're not going to get paid. But as long as you can bring enough down payment to make the seller happy and make the agent happy, maybe you could do that. So I know what happened with mine is after 1 year of having mine under a land contract, the bank that I used did it as a refi, not as a purchase. Up to 1 year, it was a purchase. After 1 year, it was a refi. So then all the equity in the property went towards, my down payment and stuff like that. So basically I came out of pocket for 4 properties with like $0. So, something like that, if you can get them to be interested, would be an option.
You mean for refined in a year?
No, so like if you do a land contract with them, so you can like
Right.
say he wants $200,000, right? And then you guys come up with a down payment, enough to get his agent paid, enough to have him have a considerable down payment where he's happy with it. You make payments on it. I did it amortized over 30 years, but with like a basically like a 5-year balloon. And then you might even build as long as you don't put like no I can't think, like no penalty for purchasing it early, like say if the rates do drop down enough to where you're happy with it,
Yeah.
after a year I was able to do it as a refi instead of a purchase. So that was huge for me because when I found that out, I did 4 at once. I was like, let's just do them all and be done with it. So, and he was happy too because he was like in his 80s, and he was kind of wanted to just be not connected to it at all anymore. So
All right. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Yep.
But did you have you made a decision on whether or not you want to go to Vegas?
I haven't figured it out yet. We have exams at the fire department for promotions and stuff like that, so I've kind of been trying to get started studying on that. So I haven't really put a lot of effort into thinking about what I'm going to do.
Okay.
I'm kind of waiting to see if Mark's going. I don't think I'm going to go.
You beat me to it. I unmuted myself to say the exact same thing.
We were telling Mark that that this year it's in Massachusetts.
There you go.
Yeah, no pressure, just curious. I
was wondering, I only have single families, and for Brett, do you like for the duplexes, the top and down? Do you like those?
So where I invest, I do, because if I have a vacancy, most likely I still have someone to keep an eye on my property. The single families, I haven't had any issues with them yet, but you know, I'm in Milwaukee, so it's not always the best of the areas. I mean, my places are in the better areas, I believe, you know, that I'm comfortable with. But I like knowing that most likely someone's there. So if there's, you know, if someone broke a window or whatever, most likely have someone there that still would hear it or see it. You know, I do know you do get, you know, you can get more complaints because it's upper lower than versus like what Frank's got, like a side by side. But those cost a lot more. So to me, I'm fine with the upper lower, and usually upstairs I just keep carpet upstairs. It kind of keeps the noise down a little bit. I mean, not the kitchen, the bathroom. I put usually LVP. But you know, I mean, let's just say I bought this one for 134. Some of my single families, like the 2 bedrooms, I've paid like 70 for them. You know, so I mean, it's to me, I don't I like duplexes, and I feel like I almost feel like my single families and my duplexes do better than my 4 units, because we have 2 4 units. And I feel like my single families and duplex do better than those. And like my single families, I don't have to worry about the yard though. I don't have to worry about the water. So even like a duplex, depending on, like, sometimes you'll have a family that wants to rent the whole thing, and this is like, okay, well then you treat it as a single family and you're responsible for the water. You know, you can break it up 50-50 or whatever, but and then they're responsible for like the mowing and the snow and stuff like that. So I feel like single families and duplexes are easier. I don't have to worry about like someone plowing them or someone snow blowing them and stuff like that, because it's more on the tenant then.
Yeah, it's it's so hard to find side by side duplexes. So I was thinking maybe you might expand my buy box into more up and down as well.
Yeah, I got a guy on my block where I got my 4 unit. He's got like 7 of them side by sides. But I mean, they're gonna be, shoot, what are they? I mean, they're gonna be like closer to 300,000, you know, when he goes to sell them or whatever. And for me, like, if I can buy a duplex upper lower for, you know, under 150, my numbers look a little bit better. I feel like even though you might get more rent for side by side, I feel like I'd rather just go upper lower and, you know, spend less money and less down payment and stuff like that.
Okay. Well, thanks.
Uh-oh. Got them coming up on our hill. This obviously is not our. Just saying.
Is that it?
What is that? Is it the breakfast? That's some of those other ones.
Sounds like it is. I guess we'll end it again. And
Thank you.
yeah, don't forget next week, guys, if you guys have questions for the lender, he'll be on with us for at least for the first half hour or so to answer any questions you guys might have. And he's the one that helped us close on this last deal.
Is that the same person that's going to the meetup or whatever, to the
Yeah, Brian.
Okay.
Brian.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, so him and his wife are going to Vegas, and that should be pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we'll see him next week. He's a really nice guy. He's looking to try to get into some investment properties as well. So we'll see if we can drag him along.
Thanks, Frank, and everyone.
Okay, you guys. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
We'll We'll see you
Bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Mark.
Bye.
Bye.